Hi everyone, in this episode we're giving this 2004 BMW E60 a major technology upgrade that completely transforms the driving experience. We'll be replacing the factory display with a brand new budget-friendly CarPlay screen that offers wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and even phone mirroring. It features a responsive touchscreen, free modern user interface themes, and a clean contemporary design while still retaining access to the original BMW menu. You can control it either by using the touchscreen or the factory iDrive controller. Switching between the original BMW interface and the new CarPlay screen is as simple as tapping the display. Once you've paired your phone, wireless CarPlay and Android Auto connect automatically every time you start the car. The Linux operating system runs smoothly, the touchscreen is fast and responsive, and the larger widescreen display gives you a much better view when using navigation apps. You'll also be able to stream your favorite music instead of relying on outdated CDs, and thanks to full DSP support, the sound quality is even better than the factory system. And if you ever find yourself waiting for someone or stuck in traffic, the built-in phone mirroring feature lets you enjoy video content directly on the display. In this video, I'll also show you how incredibly easy it is to connect a rear view camera to this screen, an upgrade that can help prevent expensive parking accidents and make reversing much safer. Let's start with the unboxing of this product. Just like the budget-friendly Mercedes digital instrument cluster featured in my previous episode, this screen is sold by Rio, a branch of Auto ABC, a globally recognized manufacturer based in Shenzhen, China. Let me quickly show you how to get this screen with an exclusive 23% discount. Simply click the link to the seller's website in the video description or the first pinned comment. Browse to your vehicle model, in this case the BMW E60, and you'll find all the products specifically designed for your car. This is the exact model featured in today's video. Add it to your cart, proceed to checkout, and enter the discount code DIYEF to receive an exclusive 23% discount that I negotiated especially for viewers of this channel. Let me show you what you'll find inside the box. This is the aftermarket screen. As you can see, the display is larger than the original one and definitely offers a higher resolution. It comes with an OEM style bezel that perfectly matches the factory one. On the back you'll find all the connectors for the wiring harnesses. Here we have the main wiring harness. On this wiring harness you'll find this connection between audio in and audio out. For the E60 and E90 models, you'll need to disconnect this connection and connect the additional cable included in the box. This cable will connect the audio out port to the aux jack port inside the center armrest. It's worth mentioning that with this screen you can also use Bluetooth as the audio source very easily by using a simple Bluetooth FM radio transmitter. You'll see that later because this customer's car doesn't have an aux port at all. None of the remaining wires are required, they are only used for factory testing and configuration. This is the wiring harness for the rear view camera. For automatic transmission vehicles, the power source is the brown wire, which provides a 12-volt output activated through CAN. For manual transmission vehicles, we have the pink trigger wire, which must be connected to the reverse light using an additional wire because the reverse signal is not transmitted through CAN. It's the same for virtually any vehicle. Next we have this harness with two USB-A ports. One can be used for wired Apple CarPlay, wired Android Auto, and simultaneous phone charging, while the second one can be used to play video, audio, or other media files. Now let me show you just how easy it is to install this screen on an E60 or E90. We'll start by removing this trim using a plastic trim removal tool. Now I'll remove the hazard light switch by pressing this upper metal retaining clip and the identical one on the bottom. The switch connector comes out very easily by simply pulling on it. The foam around the air vent has probably seen better days. I'll glue it back properly before the assembly. The climate control panel is secured with two Phillips screws. It's also held in place by several metal clips, so you'll need to pull it straight toward you. Behind the climate control panel there are two connectors that are very easy to remove. Press this plastic tab with your finger and lift the plastic locking lever until it reaches the horizontal position. Do the same with the other one. I'm only using a screwdriver here so you can clearly see the procedure. The head unit itself is also secured with just 2 Phillips screws. Once the screws are removed, you can simply pull the unit out. Now all we have to do is disconnect the large connector called the Quadlock. I'll show you its locking mechanism right away. Simply press this retaining tab on the bottom and pull the plastic locking lever until the connector slides out. Now I'll use a T10 Torx bit to remove the screws securing the original screen and its frame. The screws weren't tightened very much, so I was able to remove them by hand. This is what both screws look like. Pull the frame downward and the screen will tilt forward, giving you access to the 2 connectors on the back of the display. This is the video connector coming from the head unit below. It's clipped to the screen housing in several places. The next connector is the power connector for the original screen. And that's it for removing the factory display. The aftermarket screen receives power directly from the Quadlock connector, so you will no longer use the original screen's power connector. I'll place it somewhere in the back so it won't get in the way. Now, on most E60 and E90 models, you'll find an aux port inside the center armrest, and you'll need to connect the cable included in the box to the aux out port and route it to the armrest compartment for audio. You'll find a video in the description showing how to do this very easily. To route the white connector for the aftermarket screen power cable to the upper section, I'll use a piece of stiff electrical wire as a guide wire. And this is the path you should follow. On the right side of the head unit housing, there's an opening. Route the wire through there, then along the right side of the air vent, and finally up to the area where we'll install the new screen. I've secured the white connector to the electrical wire using electrical tape. Now I'll use the wire to pull the wiring harness for the aftermarket screen power cable all the way to the top. Make sure you pull as much of the excess cable through as possible so it won't get in the way when reinstalling the head unit. If you're routing the aux cable to the armrest, it's a good idea to secure this connection with electrical tape. The installation manual also recommends covering the metal tip of this aux jack with electrical tape to prevent interference in case it comes into contact with anything behind the screen. The original Quadlock connector includes optical fiber cables, so we'll need to transfer them to the aftermarket Quadlock connector. To remove the fiber optic connector, simply press this locking tab outward with your fingernail and pull the connector out. Now I'll take that connector and insert it into exactly the same position on the aftermarket Quadlock connector. This connector will always be located in the corner. I'll take the matching aftermarket connector from the main wiring harness and connect it to the factory connector. Finally, I'll raise the locking lever and plug the remaining Quadlock connector back into the original head unit. I won't be connecting the USB ports because wireless connectivity already provides everything my customer wants, and he completely agreed with me. In the intro, I promised I'd also show you how to connect a rear view camera, so I'll plug this wiring harness into the screen. I will also connect the power cable for the screen. Make sure it is fully seated. The last thing we need to connect is the video cable in order to retain the factory menu. Since this vehicle doesn't have an aux port either in the armrest or in the glove box, I'll be using a Bluetooth FM adapter for audio. Most newer E60 and E90 models will have an aux port inside the armrest. I've included a video in the description showing exactly how to connect the aux cable for audio. Even if your vehicle doesn't have an aux port, aftermarket adapters are available if you really want to add one. I've also included a tutorial link in the description. Before connecting the camera, I obviously verified that the screen was working by turning the ignition on. The screen is fully functional, so I can now move on to wiring the camera. This is what most rear view cameras look like. This one is a universal camera, but the same connections are required for dedicated trunk handle cameras as well. I'll connect the video signal cable to the RCA connector labeled back video in, and the small red wire to the pink wire. The connection to the pink wire is necessary for manual transmission. For automatic transmission vehicles, however, it's enough to connect the brown wire, which provides a 12-volt output whenever reverse is selected, because the screen detects the reverse gear directly through the CAN bus. As I mentioned earlier, for manual transmission vehicles, I'll connect an additional wire to the rear power wires of the camera. You'll need a multimeter to identify which wire in the rear light connector supplies power to the reverse lights. So, ask someone to shift between reverse and neutral until you find the wire that has 12 volts only in reverse and 0 volts in neutral or any other gear. You can use any bolt on the vehicle body as the ground reference for your multimeter. There is also a ground wire inside the connector, but using the chassis is simply easier. Now I'll use a spare wire left over from previous projects and insert it into the connector. If you're installing the camera permanently, it's best to strip the installation from the reverse light wire and splice the wires together properly to avoid the possibility of a short circuit. It's also important to mention that while the engine is running, voltage fluctuations will most likely create video interference. I also connected this additional wire to the camera's power wires. The black wire, or the black wire with a red stripe, is the ground wire, and on most cameras you don't actually need to connect it to ground. The rear view camera is now fully functional, and the video quality is definitely better than that of most factory cameras, which typically use an analog video signal instead of the digital signal used by many aftermarket cameras. Since this car doesn't have an aux port, I configured the screen exactly as shown in the video and connected one Bluetooth connection from the phone to the screen for Apple CarPlay and the second Bluetooth connection to the Bluetooth FM adapter. Then I simply tuned the factory radio to the frequency transmitted by the adapter. However, Bluetooth audio will not work for the screen mirroring function, which in my opinion isn't that important anyway. You'll still have audio for what really matters, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I've now reassembled everything, but I didn't show every single step because obviously it's simply the reverse order of this assembly. The entire installation was quick. I think it took about 1 hour, and I'm sure my customer will be very happy because this is a major upgrade for a 22-year-old car. It's a shame that many modern vehicles aren't built to be this reliable anymore. You can navigate through the menus using either the iDrive controller or the touchscreen. Accessing the factory menu is extremely easy, and switching back to the Android screen takes just a single tap. The screen also features a digital signal processing menu, providing better sound quality than before the installation. The menu is available in all the displayed languages. You can choose between 3 different user interfaces, all of which look very tasteful, and switching between them doesn't require a reboot. Connecting Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is incredibly simple and is done via Bluetooth. From here, I'll let you see for yourselves how this screen performs with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and screen mirroring. All footage will be shown in real time.
baby, would you be there? Would you be there? Would you be there, baby, would you be there?
So tonight with this, what we're doing here,
Hey Siri, drive to London.
Getting driving directions to London using Waze.
We've finally reached the conclusion of this video. As many of you already know, I've been installing Android head units, Apple CarPlay modules and aftermarket displays for several years now, and I can honestly say that this screen exceeded all of my expectations. I never expected such an affordable Apple CarPlay screen to perform this well. This screen is even cheaper than a CarPlay module. It seems this technology keeps improving at a remarkable pace every single year, and the prices are also going down. The screen has a true OEM appearance, blending perfectly with the factory interior. It's fast and highly responsive, the steering wheel controls, the iDrive controller and the touchscreen all work flawlessly. The Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and screen mirroring connections are stable and completely free of noticeable lag. If you decide to buy this exact screen, don't forget to use my discount code DIYEF to get 23% off your purchase. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like and drop a comment to support the work that went into making this video. There are plenty of exciting projects coming soon, so thank you for watching, take care and I'll see you in the next one.